Yeah.
We are going to talk about these movies you watched and spoil them.
Man, this second movie was such a letdown after
The first one? So we're going to talk about the second one first, but we watched a movie called No One Will Save You on Hulu, which was brilliant. And I even said after it was over, there's no way that the second movie is going to be as good as the first one. Then the second movie we watched was called My Animal. The top thing I can say about this movie is it didn't know what the fuck it wanted to be.
It really didn't want to know what it wanted to be. It didn't know if it wanted to be a horror werewolf movie, a lesbian love story,
a coming of age, coming to terms with yourself movie.
They did not know what the fuck it wanted.
This movie was almost a coming of age type film about accepting yourself. This movie was almost a love story.
Almost.
This movie was almost a character study about someone growing up on the wrong side of the tracks and how society shuns those who are different. This movie was almost about coming to terms with yourself and using her being a werewolf as a metaphor for being queer and accepting that. It was almost all any of those, but none of those themes are present enough or given enough time to fully develop, and that leaves the movie feeling scattered and stilted. And that was a big problem.
It was.
If they'd have picked any one of those and just gone full bore, this movie could have been great. The cast was awesome. The cinematography was good. The visuals in this movie were fucking awesome.
The visuals were cool.
The lighting and cinematography were so fucking good.
Yeah, the guy who did the shots,
the cinematographer,
fucking cinematographer was amazing.
That person's a genius.
The 80s style, the music and shit of that
very
movie,
synth 80s music, so
really
good.
Fucking good.
The texts were awesome.
Yes.
The story just was not there.
The story sucked, man.
It was not there.
They needed to pick a road and stick with it.
You can add a little bit, of something else in there. You should have like a little subplot. It was 5 subplots.
The way I feel like it should have went, she gets with this girl. What's her name?
Amanda
Steinberg,
who was phenomenal.
She was absolutely incredible.
The main actress, them person, their performance was really fucking good.
Really good.
Amanda was better.
You could see her naked, made it even better.
Oh yeah, look up you a screenshot of Amanda Steinberg and then rent this movie. You're fucking welcome.
Gorgeous.
Hey, I'm only saying this because I'm a gross man and she put it out there, so I'm consuming. You know what I'm saying?
Within the first 30 minutes of the movie, they should have gotten together. They should have. Oh, by the way, I'm a fucking werewolf. Let's figure this shit out. And then that should have been what the story was.
Yeah, that'd have been awesome.
But we didn't get. We knew she was a werewolf within the first 30 minutes of the movie, but nobody else did. And then you get it once at the very end. You get
which
to see
was
the
a
change.
really cool scene, but
awesome.
At the same time, like,
but she gets utterly cucked from Amanda Steinberg's character. Like, bro, what the just happened?
Yeah, dude. Also,
what just happened?
It was really confusing in the way that it was shot. Like, they finally get together, right, and they have their night together, and like it seems like they enjoy it.
Amazing sex.
But during the sex scene,
she starts to change.
Her eyes are changing and stuff, and she's like changes to a werewolf. And then it cuts to the next morning. Like essentially, well, it's not even the next morning. It's still that night, but it cuts to afterwards. And Amanda's on the edge of the bed, and the werewolf is like laying down, like in human form, right? She's laying there, and then Amanda is like, there's no dialogue, and then it cuts away, and we're like, all right, well, this is obviously like something bad happened. But what did Amanda's character see her turning into a werewolf during sex, and she's like, freak the fuck out now? What is happening? And it goes like 15, 20 minutes before it comes the fuck back to show you that scene again, and Amanda's character just says, I think you should go. Okay, but that doesn't tell us anything.
She said, I heard her say, what are you?
Yes.
I think you should go.
In the middle of sex, she says, what are you? So we're thinking she's starting to turn into a werewolf during the sex scene. But no, that's not it at all. They finally have a confrontation at the end, and Amanda straight up tells her, I'm not gay. Leave me the fuck alone. Get that out of your head. I'm not gay. So, like, she was suppressed. She was a suppressed, almost said heterosexual, oppressed homosexual, right? She was suppressing it. But in the scene, they lead you to believe that she had turned into a werewolf in sex and scared her.
Yeah.
It was so terribly done in that moment that we don't even know what the fuck is happening. And when they give you clarity, it's just more confusing. Like, well, then why the fuck were her eyes changing? Why the fuck did she say, what are you? What the fuck is going on here?
You could clearly see, like,
it's like they started one path and they were like, oh, I don't like this, and changed it in mid-production and then didn't go back and fix any of it. You know what I'm saying?
You could
it's so weird.
Clearly see as the viewer in that sex scene, her eyes change color, which the way that they do the changing of colors in this one was really cool. Awesome.
As I said, the text
and her fangs, you saw her fangs come out.
Yeah,
a
her fangs came out too.
So we knew it's like, oh, she's changing. She's about to get off. She's changing by accident. You know,
the tech elements in this movie were so well done.
Yeah,
the lighting, the cinematography, the effects, all of it was very well done.
The preview for this movie is very misleading.
This movie has one of the greatest trailers I've ever seen in my entire life, but it entirely misrepresents the movie.
Yep.
That scene is a commentary on the female orgasm, loss of control. Possibly, that possibly could be what the filmmaker is saying in that scene, but the way they shot it, they're telling you she's having a transformation here. And then it's really weird afterwards, and Amanda asks her, what are you? So it's like, oh shit, she started changing, scared her. That's the problem. But no, the problem is that Amanda doesn't want to admit that her character didn't want to admit she was gay or bi.
I knew that was going to happen.
So fucking dumb.
When they get together in that scene, Amanda's character is very drunk. And as soon as it happens, I was like, I don't know if I said it out loud, but I thought, I was like, bro, she's going to wake up and not want this.
Regret it, right?
Yeah.
But she also played into it so hard in so many other scenes.
Yes.
She was very, Amanda's character
she was
very
sober as
fucking
fuck
flirty
at
the whole time.
At the bar, weren't they? No,
they were drinking
drunk
at
at the bar, yeah.
She was very flirty all the time with her, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was very much so, this is not like getting to know a friend.
Yeah.
This, like, their relationship up to having sex was very much the beginning stages of a relationship, of two people, like, getting to know each other to, like, be together, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
That's very much what it was. They were, like, essentially dating.
It was very much a letdown.
Yeah, it had so much potential, but it just could not decide what the fuck it wanted to be. It was so annoying.
Now, the first movie that we watched was an absolute 10 out of 10 masterpiece.
No One Will Save You. It is on Hulu. We are about to spoil the movie, unfortunately, but do yourselves a favor. Even with this spoiler, this movie is brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant. There's 8 words spoken in the entire
hour and a half of the movie.
3-minute long video or movie. 93 minutes. 8 words.
There is legit almost no dialogue in the movie, and you don't need it. I actually think dialogue would have ruined this movie.
The actress Caitlin Dever,
she was in Justified, also a movie called Short Term 12. Did not know that she could do this.
There's so many times in this movie where she portrays everything that she needs to tell the audience with facial expressions and body language.
Bro,
that was just amazing. It's a movie about aliens.
You are supposed to know that.
You're supposed to know this.
I even put in my notes here, Caitlin Dever is phenomenal. Oscar worthy. Might be the best actor I've ever seen at conveying emotion and feeling through body language. It was raw, dude.
It was so good.
There's also a scene in the movie. I'm not going to spoil the scene in full, but there's a scene in the movie. It's the first time that you get, like,
is it the invasion?
Any bit of horror. When the invasion first starts,
wow.
I'm literally goosebumping just thinking about this scene. It was so heart-wrenchingly intense.
It was scary.
And they do all of this with giving you barely any information of really what is happening. Like, actually, at this point, you have no idea what's happening. You just know something or someone is in her house, and then you don't really get to see it. And the moments that you don't get to see it are terrifying. And then you see bits and pieces as the scene goes on, and you get a clearer and clearer picture of what it is. And so oh my God, dude. The scene itself is really long.
It's about a 20-minute scene.
And it's brilliant.
And you know every 20 minutes, bro.
I like Under the Skin overall as a movie more than No One Will Save You. No One Will Save You is a better movie as a thriller horror movie. The performances are neck and neck. I would give Scarlett Jo barely the edge. Scarlett Johansson in Under the Skin is in my top 10 lead actress performances of all time. It's one of the 10 best film performances I've ever seen. But Caitlin Dever's performance in this would not be far behind it. Top 15 of all time easy. Maybe even also makes my top 10.
There is a scene that is my favorite scene in the entire movie. It's spoilers, okay? It's aliens. She kills the first one, and then all the aliens get pissed that she kills it. And they come in force.
They come equipped and ready to ride.
They come ready to fuck some shit up, okay?
Yeah, dude,
so she goes back home, and she prepares her house for battle.
Oh, you're talking about that moment.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so she gets home, night falls. She's kind of set the house up, not like a Home Alone trap scenario, but she's set up pretty well.
Like boarded the windows, trying to like secure her house.
There's multiple aliens in her house at this point. She gets past one, and she goes down in her basement.
Oh, dude.
And then
the basement segment was so good.
Dude, favorite segment in the entire movie.
It's my second. My first is the original. The first like 3 minutes of the first invasion.
Yeah. That specific scene is my favorite scene because of the way that they did it. It was so good. She goes down into the cellar. They blast open the door from the outside door of the cellar. One walks in. You see this all happen, and it seems like this is filmed as a single shot, but it's obviously not. But that's the way it's filmed, is a one shot. You go around a corner, you see the shit. She's trapped in the basement, and there's several different aliens. You've got ones that walk on 2 feet that have fucking telekinesis powers,
which are
wild. And then you've got some big 19-foot motherfucker. There's a baby one at one point.
We think it's a baby. That could just be small versions, but the way it acts very much leads us to believe this was supposed to be a young one. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not like a baby, but it's like a teenager or something. You know?
Absolutely.
Honestly, it seems like it was an adolescent. With the way it reacted to the being hit and shit like that, it seemed very much like an adolescent. The goddamn one shot down there in the cellar, bro. When the camera just moves, I almost jumped out of the couch.
She grabs a pair of scissors to protect herself, right, from this one, and she gets underneath of a table.
Like a table desk.
Like a table desk that's open on both ends.
Yeah.
And then something makes a noise behind her, and she turns this way, has the scissors, right? She's staring there for like 25 seconds. And I already know that when she turns around, this is going to be right behind her. So, but the way that the camera pans and does it all at the same time.
It doesn't cut, and it's not a jump scare where it's like, boom, it's right here. The camera just moves, and boom, that motherfucker's
right there.
Oh my
Kneel
God,
down,
dude.
crouch down, fucking staring at her. It's like,
And it's even more terrifying because
God,
it's knelt down on his feet with his hands on the ground like a person would kneel, and its head tilted like it's just curious.
Yeah.
It's studying her, like it's watching her like, what the are you doing, bro? I'm right here. Yeah. What are you doing? It's so terrifying. For anyone that knows anything about religion and Catholicism, I saw this thread on Twitter from filmmaker Guillermo del Toro. If anyone knows who that mother effer is, he made Pan's Labyrinth, which is garbage as shit, but he also did The Shape of Water, which is an absolute unbridled masterpiece.
Sicario.
The first two Hellboys. No, that's Denis Villeneuve.
Oh, way off.
He put a whole Twitter thread together of like 10 tweets talking about no one will save you. That's how good this movie is. I am not Catholic. I don't know a lot about Catholicism, but in his thing, he talks about how in Catholicism, there is a belief among some, it's not everyone, that salvation is found through self-suffering. And he correlated that idea with this movie, and he could not have been more right. As the ending is happening and everything is unfolding, I remember those tweets, and I was like, God damn, this guy can analyze things. Because holy is this all falling in place for me now with that analysis. And like, I still would have understood the ending, and like, the ending's not confusing.
Not even a little
but
bit.
I still would have got that like salvation through self-sacrifice. I still would have got that, but I never would have correlated it to a Catholicism, ever.
I told Nick, I was like, dude, that felt like the movie was 3 hours long in a good way. Everything happened precisely the way that it meant to be happen.
The pacing was
so good. 8 words the entire movie.
There's a mystery that goes on throughout the movie. It is very clear that Caitlin's character did something. She did something that people do not like. She is an outcast in the town that she lives in, and people do not like her. And we get many instances of this, and then they show you what happened. And at the end, I was like, oh, this changes how I feel about this character. Give me goosebumps again. It's so f***ing brilliant that the movie doesn't tell you until the end, because you spend an hour and a half with her, rooting for her to win, watching her almost die, watching her do all these all these things and narrowly escape death through sheer force of will. And then they reveal something, and it's what she did. And it's like, oh, if they would have told me that at the beginning of the movie, I would have hated her. I would have thought this character
I had different
is
thought
worthless.
process.
However,
I had a different thought process than he did at that point.
this happens when she's a child, and I understand intense emotional reactions to things that children have. You lash out and do something you don't mean to do, immediately realize, oh, I should not have done this. And that's what happened. However, she still did this really terrible thing that, like, if an adult did it, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? And it's so brilliant how they layer that, and they show you that at the end, and that she was also a child when it happened, because it makes it really complex, and it really left me conflicted of like, I don't know how I feel about her as a person now. One kind of weird thing is they never tell you what happens to the mom. She's just not around. But like, there's this catharsis that Bryn needs. She needs to face the fact of what she has done, and not only accept that she is a kind of person that can do this and did do it, she also needs to forgive herself for doing it. And that's what leaves me conflicted. It's like, you need to forgive yourself. You took a fucking life. But taking that life
also
ruined her life.
She was a kid when it happened.
Yes,
she
in a
didn't
fit
mean it was
of emotional rage. I get it.
The way that they do this, like,
Fuck, it's brilliant.
the aliens, like, they're invading the world, and they put these weird little alien creatures inside their throats. And when that happens, they get the perfect life that they've always wanted.
Yes.
And what they see. So she sees this perfect life. She goes in. That's how we find this out. She goes into this perfect life of hers where her mom is there,
her best friend is there.
Her best friend is alive, and she fights it tooth and nail
because she's not ready.
She's not
ready. She can't accept it.
She rips this bitch. She shoves her hand down her throat and rips this bitch out of her mouth. And the aliens at this point are like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Yeah,
like,
bro.
What is going on?
This one bitch will not accept this shit.
When we finally get the resolve where she forgives herself and shit, the aliens see this stuff. They're like, oh, she doesn't need one of these in her throat. So the movie ends with everyone in the world but her being controlled by an alien. Yeah. And she's just living her happy, merry fucking life at this point.
And she is living a happy, idyllic life like everyone else is, because all she needed for her happy, idyllic life was to accept what happened in her past and allow herself to come to terms with it. That's what she needed. It is crazy. She also spends the entire movie very clearly fucked up from what she did.
Oh, absolutely.
She writes letters almost daily to her friend. Almost daily. Her friend is constantly on her mind. It has ruined her life and made her a shut-in and made her a mute. She it has literally destroyed her. Like, she does not have a life. It has destroyed her.
Some of the very few words that happen, there's a scene at the very beginning where she's like,
on her.
She's like dancing in her house, listening to music, cooking, and her phone rings. She picks it up, and all you hear is "Go fuck your," and then they hang it up. She hangs up the phone.
There's a scene in this movie, No One Will Save You. I'm not going to tell you when it happens or what it is, but it is very reminiscent of the vibes, energy, and the feeling of that scene with Max from Stranger Things. The running up that hill scene with Max running away from Vecna. There's a scene in No One Will Save You that very much reminded me of that. I didn't say it to you, but as we're watching the movie and that thing is happening, that scene was playing in my head. I was like, oh my God, bro, it is fucking brilliant.